Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's weekly live immigration attorney chat. I'm attorney Megan Pastrana of Immigration for Couples. If you're new to our Facebook channel and our Facebook page, we host these weekly live chats typically on Tuesdays around 11 a.m. Eastern time. Sometimes will vary based on the schedule for the week. But we host these weekly live chats to provide you with updated information as it relates to the world of immigration for couples. And we love to answer any questions that you have and provide you with guidance and clarity on your immigration journey. So if you're watching here live, please just give me a hello. But if you're watching on the replay, please do a hashtag replay to let me know that you've watched and let me know what questions you have so we can address them on future Facebook Lives. And if you're watching this on one of our other social media platforms like YouTube, I invite you on over to our Facebook page, Immigration for Couples. And I also invite you to check out our free resource center at immigrationforcouples.com. We have a very robust resource center that helps you whether you're just starting out on your immigration journey and needing to gain clarity on what's the best path for you, or if you're in the middle of the process and just wanting to understand more information about where you're at and what you can expect in the future steps of the process. So again, that's immigrationforcouples.com. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to jump into the topic that I have here today regarding drug use and abuse and the impact it will have on your immigration case. So part of the immigration process to receive a green card, there is a screening question that asks if you've ever been a drug abuser or if you've ever used drugs. And it's always important in an immigration process, it's always very important to be honest with immigration, because if you have used drugs in the past, including marijuana, or if you've ever had an alcohol abuse disorder, if you've ever been an alcoholic, or if you've used any other type of drug that is a controlled substance, it's an illegal drug, it's very important to be honest with immigration. If you fail to do so, immigration will have ways. They have ways depending on whether or not you maybe had been previously criminally convicted. There might be medical records, and part of the green card process does involve a medical exam. And so it's always important to be honest with immigration, because if you are not only will you have issues from the point of drug abuse and use, you will also have immigration consequences for what's called fraud and misrepresentation, for lying or not being honest with immigration. So that's first and foremost, that's very important. But when you're disclosing this information, it's also important that you understand the consequences. And that's really what I'd like to talk with you about here today. So there's a question on the application for your green card. It doesn't matter if you are going through an adjustment of status process or if you're going through the spouse visa process abroad. And even for fiance visas, one of the steps in the fiance visa process, the end goal is to receive that green card. This question does come up. And there's a few different contexts in which this question might be applicable to you. Perhaps it was something that happened in the past. Perhaps in the past, you maybe had some isolated incidences of drug use. Maybe you used marijuana or something like that. Or perhaps you are currently using one of those types of substances. And it will really depend. So in the world of immigration and in law in general, it always depends. It depends. Is this something that was a long time ago in your past? What drugs did you use? What was the extent of the abuse? Did it rise to the level of some type of addiction? And like I said, or was it some isolated incidences of use? And is it something that's happening currently? And as part of that medical exam, the medical doctor, the civil surgeon, will also be asking you questions. If an individual is found to be a drug user or abuser, an addict, he or she is not eligible to receive a green card. And you are eligible. There's a way to overcome that issue. So that's what we look at here as immigration attorneys at Immigration for Couples. If a person has some kind of issue in their immigration history, the next thing we look at is, okay, are there ways to overcome this problem? And so if it is an issue of drug use or abuse, then the way to overcome that is by showing that the individual is sober and in remission. And there have been times, where immigration will have someone go for their medical exam. I know this happens all the time because, we'll have individuals who come to us afterwards, and there's a lot online about how people don't realize that immigration is checking for even marijuana, and you'll go to your medical exam, they'll do a medical screening, and they'll see that there is marijuana in your system. And they will put you on a track. Typically, what will happen to show that you're in remission, they'll put you on a track where you'll be checking in with the immigration doctor, typically every 4 months or so, to do tests again to make sure that you are that you're clean, that you're sober, and you have to go through that for a year to ensure that you can show that you're fully in remission, that you're clean, that you're sober. But if it's some other type of drug, and depending on when it happened in your past, the key is showing that you're sober and that you're in remission. And that's ultimately up to the immigration doctor, the civil surgeon, to determine whether or not you are in remission and whether or not you are sober. And if you've already gone through a rehab program, if you've already had your own doctor and you have records of that, that can be very helpful as well. But the good news is even if this is something that's in your past, there is a way to overcome this problem by showing that you're in remission. You'll want to be very careful if you do not have an immigration attorney. You want to be very careful in going through this immigration process, and you'll definitely want to talk to an immigration attorney to make sure the specifics of your case, the type of drug, when it occurred, and all of those things, that you're being honest about all of the relevant details, that you understand the consequences, and that you are able to fully prove to immigration that you are sober, that you are in remission, and that you're eligible to receive your green card. Because if you are able to prove that, then you can still receive your green card. So I am just talking about drug use and abuse. This is a very robust topic, and there's other consequences. There's other issues that can arise in the immigration context with drug use and abuse. If you've ever been criminally convicted, or if you have ever been in possession and then were criminally convicted, or if you, hopefully not, but if there's any type of trafficking or selling of controlled substances, that rises to a whole other level of problems, some of which have a waiver that you can go through to ask for forgiveness, and others can make you permanently ineligible. So I wanted to give that caveat to be very clear that I am talking about drug use and abuse and not any criminal consequences that may have arisen from that drug use or abuse. All right, so I hope that gives you some clarity on this topic. And again, for those of you who are watching on YouTube or just now joining us, I invite you to check out our free resource center at immigrationforcouples.com. We have a lot of helpful diagrams, charts, and even a free relationship evidence guide. So check that out.